Remember when we declared driver first name variable earlier? Did you notice how I used some capital letters in the name here? This is called camel case notation because it resembles the humps of a camel. However, the first letter here seemed to be lowercase, and this is called lower camel case. There is another variation which is called upper camel case. They are both commonly used in Java, but in different places. For now, however, just remember that you should always follow the lower camel case when you are creating new variable names like this one here. You can always write variable names the way you want as long as you follow some basic rules which we will go through in a second. But it's very common to use camel case when we create variable names that have more than just one single word. Because as you will see, we can't have spaces between the words in variable names. The camel case notation makes it a lot easier to read than say having them all lowercase letters like that. So what are those rules that we need to follow when creating variable names? The names are totally up to you, but you should always try to use words that describe what the variable is used for, like speed or price. Try to avoid using cryptic abbreviations like SP for stock price. Instead, you should use the camel case notation and name your variable stock price like that. But always keep in mind these rules. Number 1. The variable names are case sensitive. Just like any instruction in Java, variable names are also case sensitive. Which means if we try to use this variable stock price here in a statement like this, but with a small lowercase p instead of this upper p, then Java won't understand what this variable is because it would assume that it's a different variable and it won't find it in your program. So you have to follow the same case of variable that you have declared earlier. Second rule is that you have to start your variable names with a letter like an alphabetical letter, even though you can have numbers and symbols within your variable name. The first letter always has to be an alphabetical letter. So a variable like this which starts with the digit 2 is wrong and Java won't accept it. You can however start the variable name with a $sign or an underscore sign. Only those two are acceptable, but it's not recommended to do so anyway. Third rule is that you cannot have white spaces in your variable name. It has to be one single word, something like this. String stock price with a space between stock and price won't be accepted by Java. So as long as you follow these basic rules and you keep in mind that your variable name explains what the variable is used for, then your program would make a lot more sense when someone else is reading it. Another thing you can do while declaring a variable is initializing it in the same statement. Something like this, where we have the string player variable being declared here. I can actually assign that to a value straight away. So in this one statement, I'm declaring the variable player and I'm also initializing it to the string ratchet. Same goes for integers, where I can declare an integer price and initialize it to 0, or another integer speed and initialize it to 100 or so on. So remember that if you want to compact your code to lessen the number of lines in your program, you can always initialize the variable while declaring it. This also guarantees that you would never use a variable without having it initialized, which is really important thing to think about in your programs.